I walked into the living room, expecting a casual dinner. My son stood up and said, "I think my dad's been stealing from me." The silence was deafening. My chest tightened. Then came the whispers. My sister-in-law nodded, like she already knew. I didn't even sit down. I just stared at my own kid, thinking, is this really happening right now? The room felt smaller suddenly. My brother looked away. My niece's eyes went wide. I could feel my heart pounding in my ears. This wasn't some random accusation from a stranger. This was my son, the boy I raised alone after his mother died. The same kid I worked double shifts for. The same one whose college fund I protected like it was gold. And now he was standing there, in front of everyone, calling me a thief. I wanted to speak, but the words stuck in my throat. All I could do was stand there frozen, while my family waited for me to react. I didn't yell. I didn't defend myself. I just looked at him and asked, "Is that what you think of me?" His jaw clenched. He said he had evidence. That he was having my finances audited. Everyone just sat there, waiting to see if I'd explode. I didn't. But inside, I snapped. My hands were shaking, but I kept them at my sides. I refused to give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. My son pulled out his phone and showed it to my brother. They whispered something I couldn't hear. My sister-in-law crossed her arms and stared at me like I was already guilty. I felt my throat go dry. Part of me wanted to grab him by the shoulders and shake some sense into him. But another part of me just felt numb. How did we get here? How did my own son look at me and see a criminal? I swallowed hard and said nothing. Silence felt safer than words right now. Before we continue, I would like to know where you're watching from in the comment section. Also hit the subscribe button and share this video, as this will help this video to travel far so others can learn also. My name is Russell Warner, and I'm a 48-year-old father from Ohio. I work in construction. Blue collar, no frills. After my wife died 3 years ago, I managed everything. Her life insurance, our son's college fund, her savings account. I kept it airtight. Never once dipped into anything that wasn't mine. I tracked every penny. I had spreadsheets. I had receipts. I had backup files on 2 different hard drives. So, where the hell was this coming from? My son, Derek, just graduated college last year. I paid for most of it. The rest came from scholarships and his part-time job. I never asked him for a dime. I never borrowed from his accounts. I didn't even have access to his personal checking. So, why was he standing in front of my family, accusing me of theft? It didn't make sense. Unless someone put the idea in his head. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that had to be it. The moment that gutted me was when he pulled out a manila folder. My own son had been tracking transactions, building a timeline, like some kind of detective. He said he had an accountant reviewing everything. "It's just to be sure," he added. "Just to be sure? I raised you, fed you, paid your rent last month when you were short. And this is what I get." He opened the folder and pulled out a printed bank statement. He pointed to 3 transactions. "These," he said. "I didn't make these. But they came out of the account." I leaned forward to look. The dates were from the past 4 months. The amounts weren't huge. A few hundred here, 1,000 there. But they were real. I could see that. What I couldn't see was how he thought I did it. I didn't even know the account existed until he showed me. My brother asked, "Russ, did you take it?" I looked him dead in the eye and said, "No." They treated me like a criminal. The family fell in line behind him. They were so sure I'd been skimming money. "You've been under a lot of stress," my brother said, like that explained embezzlement. My niece looked at me like I was some deadbeat. My sister-in-law whispered something to her husband. I could feel the judgment pouring off them in waves. No one asked for my side. No one said, "Let's wait and see." They just assumed. Because Derek said it, it must be true. I felt my face get hot. My fists clenched. But I didn't raise my voice. I didn't slam the table. I just stood up, looked at my son one more time, and walked out. I left the house without touching my plate. I got in my truck and sat there for 10 minutes, gripping the steering wheel. My phone buzzed. It was my brother. I didn't answer. I drove home in silence, replaying the whole thing in my head. And with every mile, the anger grew. That night, I didn't sleep. I opened files, pulled bank statements, created spreadsheets. If I was going to be put on trial, I was building my own defense. I wasn't just going to prove I didn't take the money. I was going to expose exactly what they missed. I printed everything, highlighted dates, cross-referenced deposits and withdrawals. I went back 5 years just to be safe. Every transaction I'd ever made for my accounts was clean. Every bill I paid was documented. Every dollar I spent on Derek was listed. Rent, groceries, tuition, books, even the damn pizza I ordered him last month when he said he was broke. I had it all. By 3 a.m, my dining table was covered in paper. My laptop screen glowed in the dark. My eyes burned. But I didn't stop. Because if my son wanted an audit, he was going to get one. And so was I. Then I found the missing transactions. 3 flagged withdrawals. I never made them. They were real, all right. Just not mine. Same bank account. Same name. But a secondary user had been added to the account months ago. A name I didn't recognize at first. I squinted at the screen. Ellie James. I stared at it for a full minute before it clicked. That was Derek's girlfriend. The one he started dating earlier this year. The college dropout who was always around. Always asking questions. I remembered her now. Tall. Blonde. Smiled a lot. Worked part-time at a bank. I thought she was nice at first. Polite. But looking back, she was always a little too interested in finances. In how much Derek had. In when his fund would be released. I pulled up her name in the account history. She'd been added as a secondary user 3 months ago. Right around the time Derek started acting weird. Distant. Paranoid. And now I knew why. She had access. And she'd been draining the account. My son added his girlfriend to the account. I couldn't believe it. He gave her access to his money and didn't tell me. And now she was using it. I kept digging. Every withdrawal matched up with something. A Venmo payment here. An online transfer there. Gift cards. Retail purchases. I checked her social media. She wasn't private. Big mistake. I scrolled through her Instagram. There were photos. Lots of them. A weekend trip to Nashville. Designer purse. New shoes. Dinners at expensive restaurants. All posted in the last 4 months. All matching the dates of the withdrawals. I took screenshots. Saved everything to a folder on my desktop. Then I backed it up on a flash drive I didn't label. I wasn't going to let this disappear. Derek thought I was stealing from him. But the truth was, someone else was. And he handed her the keys. I sat back in my chair and exhaled. This was going to get ugly. But I was ready. They were bleeding the account together. I traced every single withdrawal. Online transfers. Venmo payouts. Gift card purchases. All of it matched with photos from her socials. Vacations. Designer shoes. Fancy brunches. I screenshotted everything. Saved it all to a new drive I didn't label. The total came out to just over $27,000. That's how much she'd taken. And Derek had no idea. Or maybe he did. Maybe he knew and didn't care. Maybe he thought it was fine because he trusted her. Either way, it didn't matter. The money was gone. And I was the one being blamed. I printed out a timeline. I highlighted every transaction in yellow. I circled the dates. I wrote notes in the margins. Then I put it all in a folder and labeled it evidence. I wasn't going to hand this over yet. Not until the right moment. I wanted Derek to keep talking. Keep building his case. Keep thinking he had me cornered. Because when the truth came out, it was going to hit him like a freight train. I let them keep talking. Over the next few weeks, my son didn't know I was onto them. He kept texting me. We just want transparency, Dad. The accountant needs more documents. This isn't personal. But it was personal. He made it personal the moment he accused me in front of the family. I played along. I sent him what he asked for. Bank statements. Tax returns. Receipts. I acted like the dumb, shamed dad. Quiet. Defeated. Exactly how I needed them to see me. For now. The family kept their distance. My brother stopped calling. My sister-in-law unfriended me on Facebook. My niece didn't even look at me at the grocery store. They all believed him. Every single one of them. And that hurt more than the accusation itself. But I stayed calm. I stayed quiet. Because I knew something they didn't. The truth was coming. And when it did, they were all going to feel like fools. The accountant called me personally. The guy my son hired was named Robert. Not his real name, but that's what I'll call him. He reached out to get my statements. I sent everything. But before hanging up, I asked him a question that made him pause. Did you check who added the second user? Silence. I could hear him breathing on the other end. Then he said, wait, what second user? I smiled. The account your client is worried about. It has a secondary user. Added 3 months ago. Name's Ellie James. Did he tell you about that? More silence. Then, no. He didn't mention that. I let that sit for a second. Then, I said, you might want to look into it. Just a thought. He thanked me and hung up. I knew what was coming next. He was going to dig. He was going to find her name all over those transactions. And Derek was going to have to answer for it. I sat back and waited. This was just the beginning. 2 weeks later, I got the call. The accountant's voice was tight. He said, Mr. Warner, you were right. The transactions were made by the secondary user. You didn't touch a cent. He sounded embarrassed. I wasn't angry. I just said, send the report to my son. And CC the family. He paused. Are you sure? I said, absolutely. He agreed. That afternoon, the email went out. I didn't read it. I didn't need to. I already knew what it said. Derek was wrong. Ellie was the thief. And I was innocent. I sat on my porch with a beer and watched the sun go down. For the first time in weeks, I felt lighter. The weight I'd been carrying was gone. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just tired. Tired of being doubted. Tired of being blamed. Tired of my own family turning their backs on me. But now the truth was out. And there was nothing Derek could do to take it back. The group chat exploded. I didn't say a word. Just watched it light up. Messages flew. Wait, what? You said it was him. Who the hell is Ellie James? Derek, what is this? Russ, I'm so sorry. I turned off my phone. Took the day off work. Sat outside with a cold beer. That was the first time I smiled in a month. I didn't gloat. I didn't respond. I just let them sit in it. Let them realize what they'd done. They accused me. They judged me. They cut me off. And they were wrong. Every single one of them. My brother sent 3 texts. I didn't open them. My sister-in-law called twice. I let it go to voicemail. Derek sent a long message. I deleted it without reading. I wasn't ready to hear from any of them. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The damage was done. And apologies weren't going to fix it overnight. I finished my beer and went inside. The house was quiet. And for once, that felt okay. That night, he showed up at my door. I opened it, but didn't say a word. He just stood there, eyes red, holding the printed audit report. I didn't know, he said. I swear I didn't know she was doing this. I cut him off. You didn't ask. You just accused. He flinched. Dad, I held up my hand. You stood in front of the whole family and called me a thief. You didn't come to me first. You didn't ask questions. You just assumed. His voice cracked. I'm sorry. I shook my head. Sorry doesn't fix this. He looked down at his shoes. I could see his shoulders shaking. Part of me wanted to pull him inside and hug him. Tell him it was okay. But it wasn't okay. And I wasn't ready to pretend it was. You need to go, I said quietly. He looked up at me, tears streaming down his face. Please, Dad. I stepped back and closed the door. I stood there for a minute, listening to him cry on the other side. Then I walked away. He begged for a private talk. I said no. You accused me publicly. You apologize publicly. He got angry, said it wasn't fair. I said neither was being labeled a thief. He left. And I went back inside, calm, steady, and still not done. He wanted to sweep it under the rug, handle it quietly, move on like nothing happened. But that's not how this worked. He embarrassed me in front of everyone, made me look like a criminal, made them all believe I was stealing from my own son. If he wanted forgiveness, he was going to earn it. And that started with owning what he did, out loud, in front of everyone. I wasn't being cruel. I was being fair. He made this mess. He could clean it up. Until then, I wasn't interested in private apologies or quiet conversations. The world saw me fall. They could watch me stand back up too. And they could watch him admit he was wrong. That was the deal. Take it or leave it. The family turned on him next. My brother called. "Russ, I'm so sorry. We got it wrong." No we about it. My son told them I was a criminal, and they lapped it up. But now the tide was turning fast. Everyone wanted to distance themselves from his mess. My sister-in-law sent a long text. Said she never really believed it. Liar. My niece posted something vague on Facebook about jumping to conclusions. Too late. They all showed their true colors. And I wasn't going to forget it. Derek was taking the heat now. They were all asking him how he didn't know, how he let this happen, how he could accuse his own father without proof. He was scrambling, trying to explain, trying to deflect, but there was no way out. He messed up, and now everyone knew it. I didn't feel bad for him. He made his bed. He could lie in it. I wasn't going to save him from the fallout. Not this time. Ellie tried to play victim. She posted a long message online about privacy and being harassed. But I had everything backed up. I sent one PDF to the accountant. Every transaction matched with her social media. Screenshots, dates, amounts. All of it lined up perfectly. Her account went dark the next day. She deleted her Instagram, locked her Facebook, stopped posting altogether. But the damage was done. People knew. Derek's friends knew. Her friends knew. The truth was out there, and she couldn't hide from it. I didn't chase her. I didn't message her. I didn't need to. The evidence spoke for itself. She stole from my son. She let me take the blame. And now she was paying for it. Derek tried to defend her at first. Said she didn't mean it. Said she was going through a tough time. But even he couldn't ignore the proof. The numbers didn't lie. And neither did the photos. She lived large on his money. And he let it happen. Then the college fund kicked in. Here's the kicker. I had a clause in the fund. If my son publicly defamed me, I had the right to pause or revoke access pending investigation. It was legally airtight. My lawyer put it in years ago after a friend warned me about family disputes over money. I never thought I'd use it. But here we were. So I paused it. Quietly. Derek found out a week later and panicked. He called me, frantic. "Dad, what are you doing? I need that money." I stayed calm. The clause was triggered. "You accused me of theft. Publicly. The fund is frozen until further notice." He tried to argue. Said it wasn't fair. Said he didn't know about the clause. I said, "You should have read the paperwork." He hung up on me. I didn't care. He wanted to treat me like a criminal? Fine. He could deal with the consequences. The fund stayed frozen, and I wasn't in a hurry to unfreeze it. He asked me for rent money again. He had the nerve to call and ask me for rent. Said Ellie was gone. He was alone. Things were tight. I told him the same thing he told me. I just want transparency. He didn't like that. "Dad, come on." I apologized. I said, "No, you try to. There's a difference." He got quiet. Then he said, "I can't pay rent this month. I'm going to get evicted." I didn't budge. You should have thought about that before you let someone drain your account. He hung up again. I sat there, staring at my phone. Part of me felt guilty. He was my son. I didn't want to see him struggle. But another part of me knew this was necessary. He needed to learn. Actions have consequences. You can't just accuse people and expect everything to go back to normal. Trust is earned. And right now, he hadn't earned mine back. So the answer was no. And it stayed no. I sent him a statement of his own. I printed out a full breakdown. All the withdrawals made under Ellie's name. I circled the total in red pen. $27,300. Then I wrote at the bottom, "This is what you let happen when you didn't trust me." I mailed it to his apartment. No note. No explanation. Just the statement. He called me 2 days later. "I get it, okay? I messed up. I trusted the wrong person." I said, "You didn't just trust the wrong person. You accused the right one." He didn't have an answer for that. He just breathed into the phone for a minute. Then he said, "What do you want from me?" I said, "I want you to own it. Publicly. In front of everyone." He hung up. Again. But I knew he heard me. And I knew it was eating him alive. Good. Maybe that's what he needed. A little pain. A little consequence. Maybe then he'd understand what he put me through. He tried to call my boss. In a last-ditch move, he contacted my employer. Said I was mentally unfit from stress. That I wasn't handling finances properly. That I might be a risk. My boss called me into his office. I thought I was in trouble. But he just laughed. "Your son's a mess," he said. I nodded. "He'll learn." My boss handed me a printed email. It was from Derek. Long, desperate. Full of accusations. My boss said, "I didn't even read past the first paragraph. I know you, Russ. You're solid. Whatever's going on with your kid, handle it. But don't let him drag you down." I thanked him and left. I wasn't surprised Derek tried this. He was spiraling, grasping at anything to make himself feel better. But it wasn't going to work. I wasn't the problem. He was. And no amount of lies was going to change that. I drove home and blocked his number. I was done playing games. He was evicted and still didn't apologize. I knew because his uncle told me. Derek got forced out of his apartment. Couldn't pay rent. Had nowhere to go. My brother asked if I'd let him stay with me. I said no. He made his choices. My brother tried to guilt me. Said Derek was family. Said I was being cold. I said, he called me a thief in front of everyone. Where was the family then? He didn't have an answer. Derek ended up staying with a friend. I didn't ask where. I didn't ask how he was doing. I didn't reach out. And I didn't feel bad about it. He burned the bridge. Not me. He chose to accuse me instead of trust me. He chose to believe a girl he barely knew over his own father. Now, he was living with the fallout. And I wasn't going to rescue him. Not this time. Some lessons you have to learn the hard way. Then I got the letter. 6 months to the day since the accusation, I got a handwritten letter. My name was on the envelope. No return address. I opened it. "Dad, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I let someone get in my head. I hurt you. I embarrassed you. I broke your trust. I know saying sorry isn't enough, but I need you to know I mean it. I miss you. I miss our talks. I miss feeling like I had a dad who believed in me. And I know I threw that away. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, or maybe ever, but I had to try. I love you, Derek." I read it 3 times. Then I set it on the table and walked away. It wasn't enough, but it was a start. For the first time, he didn't make excuses. He didn't blame Ellie. He didn't try to justify it. He just owned it, and that mattered. Not enough to fix everything, but enough to crack the door open. Maybe, someday. I left it unanswered. I didn't write back. I didn't call. Some things you don't come back from all at once. Trust isn't a light switch. It's a slow rebuild. And he burned the foundation. So I put the letter in a drawer and moved on with my life. Weeks passed. Then months. Derek didn't reach out again. I didn't either. The family slowly started talking to me again. My brother apologized for real this time. My sister-in-law sent a care package. My niece liked one of my photos. It wasn't much, but it was something. I focused on work, on my hobbies, on myself. I started going to the gym. I took a weekend trip to the mountains. I read books I'd been meaning to read for years. Life went on, and I realized I didn't need Derek's apology to be okay. I was okay on my own. Maybe one day we'd talk again. Maybe one day I'd let him back in. But that day wasn't today, and I was fine with that. I didn't lose my son. He lost me. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. I got it. He got the truth and the consequences. The fund is locked. The house is mine. The name is cleared. And I walk lighter now, knowing I chose to protect my peace over proving my pain. Sometimes the best revenge is silence. I don't sit around thinking about what Derek did anymore. I don't replay the accusation in my head. I don't imagine what I could have said differently. I just live my life. Quietly. Peacefully. The way I always did. Derek made a choice. He chose to believe a lie over his own father. And now he has to live with that. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not hurt anymore. I'm just done. And that's okay. Because I know who I am. I know what I did and didn't do. And that's enough. The people who matter know the truth. The rest can think whatever they want. I'm free now. And that's worth more than any apology.